What is this? Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtedarkhan, your host, and today I'm going to talk to you about a major development in the geopolitics. The United States has bombed Iran, even though the president announced a couple of days ago that he was going to wait for 2 weeks before he's going to announce his attacks on Iran. And and voila, today they bombed three. He just announced. Let me see if I can find the statement that he made and read it out to you. Good morning, Rishi. So Donald Trump put on his social media, on his social truth, we have completed a very successful attack on the three nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordo. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And later on, when he did a television announcement to the country on he made a press announcement which was carried on TV, in which he also invoked God quite a bit, and he basically said that as far as he's concerned, this is it, the job is done. Now Iran can come back to the table and negotiate. I don't know what is there to negotiate, but anyway, but he also threatened that if Iran were to continue this, then there are many sites in Iran, and America will mercilessly target them and destroy them. So this is what has happened. And I, I must say that I was a bit more surprised that he took this step. But the ball is now in the Iranian court. What will Iran do? Iran has been threatening to attack US soldiers in the region, has threatened to attack US bases, has threatened to attack US allies in the region if US will attack Iran. So the US has attacked Iran and called its bluff. Not only that, the US potentially has, even if the entire Fordo facility is not fully destroyed, we don't know yet how many US planes were involved, how many times they dropped it. It was not just one B B-2 bomber that went. There were, according to him, there were several, and he's saying that they dropped their payloads on the primary target. So it's not just one 30,000-pound bomb. There must have been several that they dropped on it, and of course, I'm sure that Natan and Isfahan must be completely devastated. He claims they are obliterated, is completely wiped out. So we will see. Definitely, you can say that today, the United States has pushed Iran back by 20, 30 years, have done damage to all the efforts that they have put in and suffered sanctions for this. And so they must be now regretting not going and becoming a nuclear power. So the whole idea of posturing that we are going to make a bomb and not make a bomb. So I think Iran's overall long-term strategy has turned out to be a failure. Uh, and I mean, I find it a bit perplexing that when Israel attacked this country, it appeared as if it had no air defense systems. It had, yes, it has missiles which can reach and which can penetrate the Iron Dome, and Iran has repeatedly hit many targets in Israel. And I just saw a report published by a think tank in Europe that it has a pretty strong and big stockpile of more weapons. It hasn't used all its hypersonic missiles. Maybe it was saving them to use against the US assets. I don't know what it was doing. So it has offensive capabilities. It demonstrated that, but it has absolutely no defense. I mean, there was no defense for these nuclear sites, and all these years they spent billions of dollars funding Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis, but they did not take care of their backyard. That is the problem when small third world countries with small economies pretend to be a global power. Iran may be a great civilization, maybe an ancient civilization, but let me tell you, its GDP is less than $500 million. Iran's total GDP is around $360 billion, which is close to less than 40% of US defense budget. For a country that small to cost, it's like some primary school kid constantly bullying the national boxing champion. And for all these years that they have been threatening the United States and its allies in the assets, trying to bully countries in the region, they did not deliver. They had no capacity. I mean, Israel softened them up, and America delivered the final blow on their nuclear aspirations. Now, it's quite possible that this first bombing raid may not have fully damaged all of those facilities, but I can guarantee you that a lot of damage would have been done. Iran has a very complex system. They have built facilities all over the country, some underground. We know of some of these facilities that the US has targeted. Some of those facilities are completely unknown. But given the fact that it is pretty obvious now that a large number of Iranians are basically have become spies for Israel. So it's quite possible that Israel has pretty good intelligence of what is going on inside Iran. And so this assumption that Iran may have other nuclear facilities which we don't know of sounds a bit remote. But nevertheless, this is a big blow to Iran. And I think that the key question now remains is how does Iran respond? If Iran goes back and accepts, basically it'll be a surrender, accepts Donald Trump's conditions for peace, which means basically that they will come and check all these places, and then if they are not fully destroyed, they will be shut down. That's probably what Donald Trump will want. And in return for that, I don't know whether the sanctions will be lifted or then the Israeli lobby will take over and they say, no, 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 we want more, we want more, we want more. We want them to shut down all support to Hezbollah, all support to Hamas, all support to Houthis, etc., etc. I think there'll be a plethora of demands being made about. So basically, it's like saying you're going to the dentist and the dentist will take out all your teeth. The dentist will take out all your teeth, and so you will be left without any ability to be threatening to anybody in the region. I think this is so. It is very clearly a new Middle East that is going to emerge tomorrow. But if Iran does have some capacity, it does have some missiles left, and if it still wants to continue this fight, I don't know for what. What would be interesting is that there's nothing for the US to be fighting unless we are just doing this for Israel or whatever. But there's no prize for Donald Trump anymore in this war. He took out the biggest piece that needed to be taken out. Uh, but if Iran were to, say, attack US bases in the region, there are many all across the country. The US has about 40,000 troops. Then I don't know what's going to happen because then Donald Trump will be in an Iraq like situation where we are at a war with a country whose government has collapsed. So there will be militias all around, and it'll be a total mess if Iran continues to fight and forces the United States to do. And the options for the US are terrible. I mean, I don't think there is an appetite to occupy Iran. It's not going to be easy. It's a country of over 90 million people. It will take trillions and trillions of dollars. The US will be finished. I can guarantee you that if the US were to go and occupy Iran for 10 years, then our economy probably will go from a deficit, a debt of 36 trillion, 37 trillion dollars to probably 50, 60 within a couple of years. Already, Donald Trump is going to add about $10 trillion dollars in the next 5 years to America's debt. So, economically, I don't think it's a great prospect for the United States to be thinking of a prolonged war with Iran or an occupation of Iran. The second scenario is that Iran comes to the table. That seems extremely unlikely because imagine if Iran were to accept Donald Trump's conditions today. How stupid would that have been? Can you imagine the profound stupidity of that? Because they could have accepted this yesterday and then they would have had some of their nuclear facilities intact. Yes, they can stop the nuclear enrichment, but all the scientific research and contributions, the billions of dollars that they have spent, would not have been destroyed like this. So for Iran not to accept the deal yesterday and then to accept the same offer, it's like saying that I want you to to basically give me your gun and then we will make peace. And you say, I will not give you my gun. And so then I destroy your gun and I say, now uh, surrender. And that's where Iran is now. For the US, there is actually no incentive unless Iran can do some damage to the US and its allies. The US can simply walk away and keep the sanctions in place for another 10 years. We don't lose anything by imposing sanctions on Iran. Iran suffers tremendously. Iran doesn't have an air force because nobody will sell it planes. Iran's economy is always in trouble because it's constantly trying to beat the sanctions and somehow have trade relations with other countries, export its oil, etc. So we are in a very strange situation, and we will not know until what happens in a couple of days. Whether, in fact, one more thing to see is if Israel continues to attack today and after all of what US did, and if Iran is retaliating against Israel, and of course whether if it adds new targets, US bases or otherwise. There was a lot of talk that Iran might shut down the Strait of Hormuz. Iran might hit the US allies such as Qatar, UAE, and Saudi Arabia's oil facilities, and basically create an economic crisis worldwide. All of that chatter has been going on for years, but we have seen no such indication as of now. And Iran has not hit anybody. And as I said in my previous discussion, that Iran's proxies too have been pretty quiet. Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthis have not done much. Hamas is completely devastated. So we are looking at a situation where the ball is now in Iran's court, and we will see what Iran wishes to do. And of course, there's also this question: is the West going to press for regime change, assuming now that they have done a lot of damage? There is a possibility, there is a third possibility that fearing regime change, the current government may decide that, okay, let's accept Donald Trump's conditions and let us get Israel and the US off our backs, and let us then maybe consolidate and protect the regime from collapsing from domestic enemies. And so the Iranian regime, whatever is left of it, makes surrenders to the foreign countries on their demands, so their fighting stops, and then they basically fight their own people to make sure that the regime doesn't collapse. So that is another possibility that the Iranians are thinking of. We will see what they are thinking, but in the last few weeks, I can say that my respect for their diplomatic and their strategic thinking has gone down significantly. They have been completely outthought and outsmarted by the Israelis in the past few months, and they have failed. They have failed. I mean, they don't deserve to be seen as a major threat to global order, and their lack of capacity to match their rhetoric with military capacity is also stunning. From that point of view, I think that this is also a lesson to a lot of other people who think that the world is multilateral or multipolar, and that America's power has declined and America has disappeared and all of that. Well, no, there's nobody out there, and Trump is right that no military could have done what the US did today. And I don't think that there is any other major power that can go and do what the US did today. Iran is just, for the rest of the world, it may be a big country in size and may have a big army, but its capacities are absolutely nothing. Iran could not defend its most important asset, in which it has invested for decades. It could not defend that today. I am not saying that it has been completely destroyed, but it was bombed today by some of the heaviest bombs ever dropped, short of nuclear weapons. And so the fact that the United States is militarily a major power, that is once again underscored today. But we will see whether Iran will challenge, because in the early days when Israel attacked Iran, it looked as if Iran was completely outplayed, but then it came back and then it gave hell to Israel too. So we will see what happens in the next few hours. They are very critical. given the devastation of the leadership. This everybody who's now running Iran, more or less in the military sector, are new people in a commanding position, and we don't know what their concerns are. They're worried more about their careers or their ideological goals, because most of the leaders of IRGC has been destroyed and killed by the Israelis. A lot of other military commanders have been killed by the Israelis. So these new people who are probably coming up from middle management. Imagine that you were like the general manager for sales, and you're suddenly now the CEO, and you're making major decisions on behalf of your company. I think that's the scenario with Iranian military at the moment. So we will see what happens. And so those are my opening remarks. But I must say that I was quite surprised that Donald Trump took this big step. It is perhaps that the intelligence that is coming from Iran is that Iran is not all that powerful. It is too weak. It does not really have the capacity or the intention to attack or retaliate against the US. Because if there was credible intelligence, and there were people telling Donald Trump that if you bomb Fordo and other places, then Iran will shoot missiles at American bases, and you could end up getting many Americans killed. And that would have made him think twice. But there's also something small that has happened. So, for example, it was for a while, Donald Trump said we are negotiating and told Netanyahu not to attack Iran till the negotiations are over. And there's a lot of chatter about that being a way to surprise Iran. Iran was under the impression that until the meeting between uh, Abbas Arachi, the foreign minister, and Witkoff in Muscat this Sunday, which was supposed to be, I guess, last Sunday, Iran would not be attacked. And so Iran was attacked as a surprise. And then again, Donald Trump said, I will make this decision 2 weeks from now. And then he goes ahead and does this today. So it's quite possible that his credibility, people in the diplomatic world are going to be wondering whether Donald Trump's word is worth anything at all. Is he always trying to trick the opponent? And so even when he's serious, he's going to have credibility issues. And people are going to keep wondering, does he really mean it? Does he have a trick up his sleeve? Is he going to stab us in the back and stuff like that? So that is, it's not that big an issue, but this is also something from a diplomatic point of view, I think that is going to happen. So thank you for watching. And now I will turn my attention to your questions and your comments. And Rohit Narang is here. He's a member and supporting member of Conversations. Thank you very much for coming, Rohit. And don't forget for tomorrow's Zoom meeting. The Zoom meeting is 12 o'clock my time and 9:30 India time. I will share the announcement here with you guys. So please don't forget to come for this meeting tomorrow. Uh, and for members only by Zoom, so I get to see you and listen to you. So it'll be very, very interesting. So, and then good morning to Sandeep, proud Canadian. I don't know what you seem to be very thrilled about, proud Canadian. Okay. Uh, Nick Sodi, welcome, Nick. Nick is also a member of Conversations. I hope you're seeing this. I have already shared the link in the members only section. So just go to posts and you will be able to see Rajendra Bhatti. Thank you very much. I think you just became member. Great. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you too. Mark Weiber, Indians, Hindutva are happy. I don't know why they are so happy, as if it's, I thought that Iran was a good friend of India. They were allies for many, many, many years. And the fact that India is not a major power in world politics becomes apparent with every major event in the world. India is irrelevant to what is going on in the Middle East, even though it claims to be the voice of the global South, the leader of the global South. The global north is hammering the global south. Iran is not just a member of the global south. Iran is a member of SCO and a member of BRICS along with India. India has investments and India has nothing to do with its friend. So if India is your friend, remember India is not going to do anything at all to help you if you are involved in fight with America and some other big powers. They will just go and hide in their little holes somewhere, maybe go give a speech in Bihar or somewhere else. So I don't know why people even bring up this issue. Mark. And so Kamal Sharma, from 5th November 22 till today, the President of USA or the Vice President has not spoken to the Prime Minister of Pakistan or the President of Pakistan even once on a phone call. Why? Uh, from 5th November 2024, since they won the election, I guess, they did not speak to the Prime Minister. I mean, I don't know. They did speak to the Prime Minister during the Operation Sindoor. If you read the comments made by Marco Rubio, he spoke. So they spoke with Shehbaz Sharif. They also spoke with Asim Munir, and they also spoke with their Asim Malik, I think his name is, who's the National Security Advisor or the head of ISI. So they did speak to about 3 people in that night, in which they asked India and Pakistan to commit to a ceasefire. Ashok Sahu, first you had told us US is not going to help Israel and Iran will overwhelm. I never said Iran will overwhelm Israel. I don't know where you're getting that, Ashok Sahu. From day one, I've been surprised by Iran's inability to have an air defense system. I talked about the fact that they have only S-300s. They don't even have S-400s. So you may be reaching conclusions on your own. I've never said that Iran will overwhelm Israel at all. In fact, go back and see the first show that I did, in which I was attacked for saying that Iran has been tremendously impacted. So I don't know what you're talking about. Do share the link if you think so. When US has changed its stance, you are showing that US was always with Israel. US has always been with Israel, but on this particular issue, I've been saying that there is a huge debate between MAGA and the neocons. I'm also just surprised as to how easily Donald Trump has surrendered to the neocons in his administration. If you take hundreds of millions of dollars from Zionists in the country, and then this is what probably happens. Yes, I thought that he would stand up to his commitments to no major wars. He still probably thinks that there will be no major consequence or a war in the Middle East, and we don't know. Maybe Iran will just shut up and do nothing. Then Trump gets to walk away. He gets credit for saving Israel, gets credit for saving the West, as often that is what is projected. India lost its moral and ethical touch. I don't know whether it had. With this particular administration, it's just talk, talk, talk. We are the voice of the global south, but we are always with Israel and America and UK. These are all global north countries. Rohit Narang, let me go back to your comment. The US attack seems to follow the same pattern as India did during Sindhu. I'm not very sure that you can compare Operation Sindoor to this. The US threatened the country's main assets and targeted it and completely dropped some of the most massive bombs on it, Rohit. There is no retaliation. Pakistan responded and shot down 3 of India's fighter planes, maybe 1 or 2 Rafales. The Indian Air Force has also conceded that they lost fighter planes. They didn't say how many. But the US has lost nothing. So I'm not very sure whether it is comparable or not. But the future of the wars, yes, for big countries, they will try to fight remote. I mean, maybe another 2 or 3 years, they will not even use fighter. I mean, Trump thanked the pilots who flew B-2s. There probably will be no pilots in the next 4 or 5 years. It will be just major drones. I just read a report that Sweden had created a fighter jet plane with no pilot at all. So I think, yes, you're partially right that there will be more attacks, but it will be basically drones of a different kind that will be involved in the future. Oh, Abhijit, thank you for joining Conversations. You've become a member. Hope to see you tomorrow. Make sure you go to posts on the channel and you will see the Zoom link to come to the meeting. I hope I answered your question, Rohit. Mohammed Rashid, will Iran now target US assets? That's the question, Rashid. Will Iran target? I mean, Iran has not managed to damage Israel enough to be able to deter Israel from continuing to attack. See, the whole idea is that when you retaliate against another country, you cause enough damage that they are afraid to come back and attack you. But Israel has been attacking and dominating the airspace in Iran every day practically. So the question remains is that does Iran have the capacity to hurt the US if it doesn't have the capacity to really hurt Israel? It has damaged Israel, no doubt. The Israelis are hiding in bunkers. There are many who are leaving the country now. So this has not happened to Israel ever before. It has never been attacked the way it usually attacks other countries. I mean, the damage that Israel has done to Lebanon, for example, again and again and again, and what it did to Gaza, it has never experienced that. So some neighborhoods in the south of Tel Aviv have got a taste of what Gaza was getting. But I don't know. So uh, in the past, the literature here in the US highly rated the Iranians' diplomatic capacity and their strategic acumen. After all, they invented chess, etc. But it doesn't seem so. To me, they look pretty stupid right now. For example, uh, their foreign minister Abbas Arakshi went to Europe just to tell them that we will not negotiate with you while Israel is bombing. So why did you go all the way to Europe? Obviously, because they had some secret discussions which they don't want to talk about. So he did talk to the Europeans, but he comes out and makes this stupid comment that we will not negotiate. Then why did you come to Europe? If so, sometimes they say things which sound kind of stupid to me, uh, and. Uh, and of course, one thing that seems to be very clear is that Iran doesn't have good intelligence at all on the US or on Israel. Like, they should have had a better idea of what Donald Trump is trying to do, because in the past 1 week, while Israel has been attacking Iran, Steve Witkoff has been in direct communications with Abbas. So the Iranian foreign minister has been talking to the US envoy, Steve Witkoff, who is very close to Donald Trump. And so he must have told Witkoff something that Donald Trump said, "Oh, shit, I don't give a damn." He must have said, "No, under no circumstances are we going to stop these enrichment programs." And so Trump might say, "So there's no point in talking to them anymore. Just go ahead and do it." And so, whatever Israel is going to do in retaliation, the damages, it cannot correspondingly damage, it cannot do any damage to the US itself. But it can hit some of its targets. It can cause oil prices to go up, which will hurt its own economy, and it can potentially become a pariah state. But I'm not, after seeing what it has done in the last week or two, I don't think Iran has the capacity to hurt the US or its assets. If it, let's say that in response to the Iranian attack, if Iran had attacked back immediately in a massive way, which damaged Israel significantly, like damaged one of Israel's military bases or airports, etc., and that would have told Trump that, oh my God, they have a big stick they can hit back. But Iran's performance in the past 1 week has not been anything that scared Trump at all. He clearly saw Israel is winning. When someone asked him, will you call for a ceasefire? Trump said, it's much more difficult to ask for a ceasefire when your team is winning. And he was referring to Israel. So he saw the exchange as Israel winning it. He even thanked Israeli soldiers in his statement. So I'm not very sure that Iran has created any kind of deterrence from a conventional point of view. Now, there are others who remember when the US was attacking Iraq, there were a lot of chatter about how powerful the Iraqi army was. It was a replica of the Russian army. Saddam Hussein will be the new Salahuddin. And there were a lot of such statements. And then the Iraqi forces collapsed within a few days. There was no war at all. Basically, the Iraqi army did not fight. It's a different thing that militias and others later on created a havoc and really messed up with the US for more than a decade. That could still happen in Iran. There could be militias emerging that might attack US assets in the region if the government in Iran collapses. But the question is whether the Iranians have the capacity to retaliate. It doesn't seem so. Plus, it also appears very clear that both Israel and the US have overestimated Iran's power, or Iran suffered much more damage when Israel attacked it in October and April of 2024. So we don't know whatever the real causes are, but I can tell you this much, that the performance of Iran is far under what was expected, given the hype of the Iranian threat to the region, to Iran. Apparently, Iran was a threat not just to Israel, but all the Arab countries and the world, etc. So all of that seems to be exposed, and it makes all the other American presidents look foolish. For example, Obama must be thinking, "Oh my God, why did I do the JCPOA? I could have done this too. All I had to do was tell the B 2 bombers go drop the bombs, and they could have done this in 2015." So it's a very interesting scenario from the U.S. point of view, but I find it that the Iranian regime has really paid a heavy price for its ideological foreign policy. And this is a message. I've been saying this for the past few months, that the purpose of governments is to provide welfare and happiness to your people, not pursue ideological agendas, which some governments are trying to do. And this is what happens if you pursue. The Soviet Union pushed an ideological agenda with communism, and it doesn't exist today. It disappeared within from what, 1916 to 1991. So 75 years it lasted, and then it disappeared. And then look at the Iranian regime. I will not be surprised if there is chaos within Iran, and I don't think the US will try to bring about regime change, because then it'll have to put boots on the ground. But it's quite possible that there could be an uprising in Iran. We don't know. And that Iran, that Israel and America and the rest of the West will support and fund and encourage if there is an uprising from inside. But I don't think it's going to result in anything positive. So far, regime changes in Afghanistan and Iraq have led to just complete failures. Afghanistan, after 20 years, is still under Taliban. uh, Ajit Sinha, it also shows how Sunni countries are just sitting back and enjoying what's happening in. I don't know. Erdogan made a lot of statements, but to be fair, the Iranians also threatened many of these countries with their proxies, and so the war on Saudi Arabia that Yemen and Houthis had launched. Well, you attacked Saudi Arabia, you attacked its refineries, and now you want Saudi Arabia to come to your help. Why? When you are a bigger threat. Israel has never attacked the Saudis. Iran did, and so did Iran's proxies. And that will be the question that they will ask. Hezbollah was a pain, and the Shia regime of Syria was a huge problem for the Turks. So, for the Turks, even though the Turks have often spoken in favor of Iran, and they try to have good relations with Iran, but on the Azerbaijan Armenia issue, they were on opposite sides. So it's not just about being Shia or Sunni. There's nothing Sunni about Turkish foreign policy. It was at odds with Egypt, which is also a completely 100% Sunni state. So Egypt and Turkey both are Sunni countries. They didn't have good relations. So I think the Shia Sunni thing is a bit more exaggerated, but the Iranians, in their anti-American posture, went after these Gulf states, etc., and threatened them definitely. And so, for them to expect them to come to the support is. I did do a show in which I was very critical of OIC countries for not in no one helping them, but that's because I'm very critical of all these stupid solidarity statements people make that we are an Islamic country, etc. If you are an Islamic country, which is what Iran likes to call it, then why are Islamic people afraid of you? You should be protecting them, not threatening them. Nick, Israel want to change this regime. Is it possible? Well, Nick, I don't know if there's going to be any change in the Israeli strategy. The Israelis thought if America was not coming into the fight, then they would not be able to destroy Fordo, and they would not be able to destroy Iran's nuclear capacity entirely through use of force. So they thought that maybe if we can precipitate a regime change, then the new government that will come in, the new regime, that will completely put a stop to the Iranian nuclear program. That is what the Israelis were hoping. But now that the US has come in and destroyed Fordo, why would they want to destabilize such a big country, which could create a huge problem? Can you imagine if another ISIS 2.0 or another Al Qaeda 3.0 emerges from this whole mess, and this time just focuses on the US and Israel rather than ISIS was basically an anti-Arab. I mean, it was mostly against the Iraqi and the Syrian state. It never attacked Israel, but you never know what kind of militias could come out of Iran. Refugees, for example, all around the place. They could go to Turkey, to Pakistan. I mean, the prospects are very daunting, really, to think. Uh, Bhavana not wishing any escalation, but worst will be if this turned out to be Trump's victory. Trump is hoping to walk away, Bhavana, that I won it, I destroyed the nuclear facilities, and he thinks that if nothing else happens, this will actually strengthen his claim for a nuclear peace prize because he's made the world safe from Iran. But like I said, the whole thing now hinges on what Iran does next. The stakes are highest for Iran. At the end of it, yes, the mess that they can create is going to hurt the economies in the region a little bit, but they are going to be the biggest victims and sufferers of whatever negative decision they may make going forward. Mohan Singh, yes, talking big and doing little. Yes, like I said before, that their tongue is bigger than their stick, uh, and uh, and the U.S. today showed that it has a pretty big stick. Milan Bass, morning, Dr. Khan, watching from Nepal. What next now? The next is basically to see whether Iran will negotiate. Without its nuclear powers, it has no leverage. Or will Iran try to attack US bases and then bring the US back into a war that Donald Trump really doesn't want to? But Iran will suffer more than any other country in any retaliation from the US. The US can keep bombing Iran like this every day. They can send B 2 bombers hitting more and more of Iranian assets. They can start doing this, then they can go and hit their electric powers, etc. They could become a country that will go into Middle Ages within a year or two if it continues to have a war. If the government collapses, then we have a huge situation, right? And it becomes ungoverned. Then you have the Iraq-like situation. So I just hope that the Iranians swallow their pride and come to the table and end this. I don't know. He'll for Netanyahu PG. I think he'll have to find another country to attack because even this is also about him staying out of jail, isn't it? I mean, he's become a bloodthirsty guy. He's still killing people in Gaza. In the last 3 4 days, they still bombed and killed like 40 50 people in Gaza. He will go back to killing people in Gaza, I guess. And America will continue to give him bombs and weapons for him to keep killing. Ankit Sinha, when Asim Munir had lunch, a few Pakistanis claim that he convinced Trump to delay. No, I don't really think so. Asim Munir probably. Asim Munir was just thrilled that he got invited to the White House. You should see the interview that I did with Kamran Bukhari. I posted it a couple of hours ago. So Kamran met with Asim Munir 2 or 3 hours after his meeting with Donald Trump. So Asim Munir gave this big lecture to the think tankers in the Pakistan embassy, I think. Kamran attended that, and then he had dinner, and he even had one-on-one conversation with Asim Munir. And so Asim Munir was basically trying to say that we have always had good relations with Washington, America. Pakistan was always a pro-Western country. And if you remember, Iran and Pakistan have bombed each other just a year and a half ago. So I don't think that Pakistan would stand up to Iran. I also did not believe and do not believe that Pakistan would align with the US against Iran. They would just try to stay neutral. And of course, they will make statements like, we need to de escalate because if things go bad, then things will be very bad for the region. That's how they will support Iran, by trying to convince Trump not to go head on, but they're not going to do anything militarily, God forbid. Big Texan, thank you very much for your uh, super chat. Israel faces no interest in annexing Gaza and West Bank. Well, we will see what happens, because uh, there are two different things. So West Bank, is what matters to the Israelis, because all the religious symbolism are part of West Bank. So even Mike Huckabee refers to West Bank using its biblical terms. So ultimately, the Israelis want the West Bank, but with Gaza, Gaza is a problem for them rather than a prize. West Bank is a prize, Gaza is a problem. So they want to end the problem in Gaza, which was Hamas. And so they basically want to do something that Gaza doesn't remain a threat. So either they want to basically ethnically cleanse the place, push all the Gazans out of Gaza into Egypt or elsewhere, etc., and create like a huge buffer zone and make sure that Hamas doesn't once again take over. They're not destroying Hamas entirely. They need Hamas to keep Gaza in check, or the Gazans in check. But with West Bank, they have a problem. If they annex West Bank, then they will be bringing in 2 more million Muslims and Arabs into Israel. So they will become an apartheid state if they don't give them the right to vote and equal rights. And if they give them an equal rights, then now there will be like 40% of Israel would be Muslim and Arab. So they don't know what to do. They want the land, but not the people, and they cannot do that because I don't know. I thought that the West would oppose a genocide of Palestine, but we have witnessed the genocide of Gaza. And I know people who personally think Joe Biden is a great guy in spite of what happened in Gaza. And then how this country thinks Donald Trump is a great guy in spite of what he's doing. So maybe Israel can simply kill all the Palestinians and the West will cheer on. Modi will not say anything. The voice of the global South will keep quiet. China and Russia will keep their mouths shut. Look at all these so called BRIC countries. They are supposed to be the alternative to G7. Anytime there's a big mess in the world, these so called alternative global order idiots are nowhere to be seen. They are nowhere to be seen. If you are an alternative leader, then where is your alternative plan to resolve this issue? The United States bombed the hell out of Iran today. It's supposed to be a close partner of Russia, close partner of India, close partner of China. What did they do? Nothing. Are they even providing intelligence to Iran? I don't know. So I think the West is big boss, and for the near foreseeable future, you can say whatever the U.S. wants will happen. And in the case of Israel, whatever Israel wants, the U.S. does. Even Donald Trump, with his bullshit about America first, his foreign policy is still in the Middle East is all Israel first. I mean, this. I'm not saying this. Some of his biggest supporters are saying this. Steve Bannon is saying this, and Tucker Carlson said this. You should see the debate between Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz. Those of you who are really interested in American foreign policy and what's happening with MAGA and Trump should look at that debate. It's fascinating. Ted Cruz says his whole purpose of coming to the U.S. Senate was to protect Israel every day. Who says this? Can you imagine someone saying, I became the chief minister of Uttar Pradesh because I wanted to make sure that Nepal becomes the most powerful country in South Asia? My whole purpose of joining the Indian parliament was to protect Nepal, a Hindu majority country. So Ted Cruz says that because as a child he was reading the Bible, and Bible says they are blessed who blessed Israel. That's why he ran for the US Senate to protect Israel every day. It's very strange kind of people they are. But look at that debate. It gives you an idea as to how America is also more like a Taliban state. Just because we are sophisticated, it doesn't mean that religion is not playing as important role in our politics as it seems to in the case of Afghanistan and Taliban. Big Texan, thanks for your comment and question. Rohit, why Russia and China have not said or anything done yet? I don't know, man. They are not ready for this mess at all. They just talk, talk, talk. Yes, China did support Russia in its war against the West for more than 2.5 years. And India also bought their oil, but they also benefited from it. They also probably are buying Iranian oil, so that is happening. And the second thing is that, but they're not taking risks. See, partly what happens is this, right? Uh, Partly what happens is that Iran may have made certain decisions which are against the advice from Putin and advice from the Chinese. The Chinese would have said, don't do this. And the Russians would have said, don't do this. But Iran said, no, I need to do this for my ideological purposes. And when they do that, then they're not getting the support from Iran. Iranians don't control Chinese politics and Russian politics the way the Israelis control American politics. So when Israel does things which are against American advice and American interests, America is not able to tell Israel, okay, we are not going to support you because their own people are Israel firsters. I mean, everybody in the Trump administration, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, who they try to listen to, a lot of them are Israel firsters. So that's the scenario there. Anmol Maga Miga. Yeah, that was funny, isn't it? Did you know that talk about Maga and Miga? The State Department has just raised its travel advisory against India and said that be careful when you travel to India. Women should not travel to India. Rape is the fastest growing crime. Just go and do travel advisory, State Department, India. Google that and you will see. So much for Maga and Miga. Uh, There are about 1 million of the Iran community in the United States. Will they create some issues or problems? No, most of the Iranians who came here are anti-Iran, pro-Israel. I know some of them personally. They were so thrilled. They probably are having a party right now that their country has been bombed by America and Israel. It's like some of the Cubans. Cuba suffered a lot because of the Cubans who were here.